Welcome to the Deep Dive, the place where we turn a massive piles of research into insights you can actually use. Today, we are sailing into the deep end, charting the course for the newest ship in Celebrity Cruises' fleet, the Celebrity Xcel. Our sources for this deep dive are pretty detailed, revealing not just the, spectacular features of this final Edge-class vessel, but also a surprising calendar twist. Really, it gives you, the early traveler, a major choice to make next November.
That's exactly right. The central thing here is really about timing. The shipbuilding process actually finished ahead of schedule, which is pretty rare, honestly, and definitely good news for the company.
Goodness.
But it created a bit of a scheduling puzzle. How do you honor the official maiden voyage that everyone's waiting for, but also take advantage of the ship being ready early? So the result is two distinct, very appealing debut sailings out of Fort Lauderdale, Port Everglades specifically, in November 2025.
It's like the best kind of problem for a cruise line to have, right? You get two bites at the inaugural apple, essentially. So our mission today is to unpack that timeline twist first and then get into the big design changes, maybe even risks Celebrity is taking with the Xcel. Okay, let's start with the timeline.
Yeah, so the cruise line was actually quite open about this when they talked to guests who were already booked. They finished the Xcel so much earlier than planned that they basically invented a whole new cruise, a 4-night preview sailing. This lets the real eager folks get on board first, but they still keep all the official ceremonies, the press, the big celebration for the originally announced maiden voyage date.
Okay, so that first one, the new edition, that's November 9th, 2025, a 4-night quick trip. And the port mention is Cozumel, Mexico. Just one stop.
Right.
Seems perfect if you just want to get on the ship fast, see the new stuff before anyone else.
Exactly. But if you're more of a traditionalist, or you just want to be there for let's say, the main event, the Fort Lauderdale naming ceremony, the christening with the champagne bottle and all that, that's still locked in for November 16th, 2025.
Okay.
Which means the official inaugural festivities will really center around the cruise that starts just 2 days after that ceremony.
Which is the original 5-night maiden voyage we were all expecting. That leaves November 18th, 2025. It's a bit longer, that itinerary. Hits 2 ports, Bimini in the Bahamas and Cozumel again in Mexico. So you've got this 4-night preview, or the 5-night official launch, only 9 days apart.
Right. And this is where it gets interesting for the people who had already booked that original November 18th sailing. Celebrity offered them the chance to switch, to jump onto that new, earlier November 9th preview cruise.
Okay, sounds like a nice offer.
It does, but there's a catch, a pretty important one, actually.
Yeah.
While they guaranteed you'd get the same cabin, or one just like it, the sources clearly state the fare would be adjusted to the current prevailing rate at the time you made the change.
And that's always the tricky part, isn't it? Prevailing rate. Moving your date sounds great, but that rate could have gone up or down, I guess?
Exactly.
If you booked that original inaugural way back, maybe got an early deal, the rate now for that first ever sailing might be, well, a lot higher because everyone wants on it.
Precisely. Now, if the prevailing rate happened to be lower, they'd refund the difference. That's great.
Okay, fair enough.
But if the rate had gone up since you booked, the passenger has to pay that extra amount. So it makes what seems like a simple, nice gesture a bit more complicated. You have to decide.
Yeah.
Is being on the very first sailing on November 9th worth potentially paying more than you planned for the November 18th official one?
Yeah, it's a real choice between, bragging rights and your budget.
It is. Fascinating, really.
It really shows how much buzz there is for this new ship, though. Okay, let's talk about the ship itself, the Xcel. It's the 5th ship in the Edge class, and you mentioned this is key. It's the final one. For anyone maybe less familiar with Celebrity, why is the Edge class considered so iconic? And what are we talking about size-wise?
Well, the Edge class really shook things up design-wise. You had things like the magic carpet.
Right, that orange platform on the side.
Yeah, that cantilevered platform that moves up and down the side of the ship.
Yeah.
And they introduced the infinite verandas, those balconies that become part of your room with, the push of a button. Very innovative stuff.
Okay.
So the Xcel builds on all that. Size-wise, she's got 17 decks, comes in at 140,600 gross tons, and holds about 3,260 passengers based on 2 people per cabin. It's a substantial luxury ship.
And its schedule is pretty straightforward, you said?
Yeah, simple enough. It'll be based in Fort Lauderdale for that whole first winter season, 2025 into 2026, doing Caribbean runs. Then it heads over to the Mediterranean for the summer season, standard pattern.
Okay, now let's talk money. Always important when you're planning, especially a luxury cruise. If you book that maiden voyage, what's included in the basic price, and what are those unavoidable extras you need to budget for?
So the base fare is pretty solid. It covers all your main meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert in the main dining rooms, and usually the buffet. It also includes standard drinks like, water, juice, coffee, some teas,
Okay.
and of course, access to all the big production shows and entertainment celebrities known for. That's all in.
But cruises always have those other costs, right? What are the main ones that often surprise first-timers?
Yeah, the big one is service gratuities. They aren't typically included in that upfront fare, and they run somewhere between, say, $15.50 and $19 per person per day. It depends on your cabin type.
Right, that adds up quickly over a week.
It really does. And then beyond that, the biggest budget items are usually the packages.
Drink packages, Wi-Fi.
Exactly. Celebrity offers a bunch of options, which is common now. You either bundle it or buy it piece by piece. So Wi-Fi access, for example, is going to cost you maybe $20 to $35 per person per day.
Wow.
Beverage packages vary a lot, too. Non-alcoholic options might be $9 to $22 a day.
Yeah.
But if you want sodas, beers, wine, cocktails, those alcoholic packages are a significant cost. Think $45 to $69 per person
Oh.
per day.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then, of course, specialty restaurants, the steakhouses, the fancy places, and spa treatments, those are all extra, too, priced individually. You really have to factor in those daily add-ons, or you could get some serious sticker shock when you get your final bill.
That makes sense. And thinking about how they price things leads us nicely into the really exciting part, the changes on this ship. You said it's the fifth and final ship in its class.
Right.
Usually that means they're tweaking things, fixing issues, maybe testing ideas for the next generation of ships.
Absolutely. And that's where this gets really interesting, because the single biggest physical change on Xcel is something called the Bazaar. This is a whole new complex, and it completely replaces a venue called Eden.
Eden. Wow. That was a signature feature on the other Voyage ships, wasn't it? Multi-level, very distinct architecture.
Huge, very distinct, beautiful, kind of abstract, performance art space, high-end restaurant. It was a major statement piece.
So taking that out, that's a massive decision. Why get rid of something so well-known and, honestly, often praised?
Well, I think it signals a pretty major strategic shift. While some people absolutely loved Eden, its concept, part restaurant, part bar, part performance space, part, abstract garden lounge, it could be a bit confusing. And maybe, just maybe, it wasn't pulling its weight consistently from a revenue perspective across all the ships.
Oh, okay. Economics?
Could be part of it.
Yeah.
The Bazaar, though, its concept seems much more direct, much more experiential and marketable. Our sources say its whole purpose is to bring the port experience right onto the ship, make the ship feel connected to where you are.
How are they doing that? You mentioned festivals.
Exactly. The plan is 3 different locally inspired festivals per cruise. They'll feature local foods, crafts from the region, maybe local musicians or entertainers. It directly reflects the itinerary you're on.
That's a smart way to tie the ship to the destinations, a big trend right now.
It really is. And the dining changes inside. The Bazaar really hammer that home.
Right, you mentioned Spice and Mosaic. What are those replacing?
So Spice is the casual spot within the Bazaar. It replaces the old Eden Cafe. And the cool thing here is it's supposed to offer rotating small bites inspired by the actual ports you're visiting on that cruise. So the menu changes constantly.
My ex-Clagger keeps it fresh.
Very clever. And then replacing the more formal Eden restaurant is Mosaic. This place focuses on elevated traditional Caribbean dishes. But what's really neat is that Mosaic will also host a chef's studio cooking class. Guests can actually learn to make regional specialties. The example given was Jamaican spiced banana rum cake.
Okay, now you're talking. I love that. It's moving from just watching something abstract to actually doing something, tasting something local.
Exactly. Very sensory, very hands-on. It feels like a really smart pivot.
It does. Okay, but the changes aren't just there, right? They've upgraded relaxation areas, too. The pool deck.
Yes. Deck 14. The main pool area has been completely reimagined and rebranded as the Celebrity Pool Club.
Pool club? Sounds fancy. What's different?
Well, it seems like they listened to feedback from the earlier Edge ships. People wanted more shade, maybe more private spots. So confirmed changes include significantly more shaded areas and more private cabanas available to rent around the pool.
That's always welcome in the Caribbean sun.
Definitely. But the really interesting service upgrade is the introduction of a pool valet.
A pool valet. What does that entail?
It sounds like a dedicated attendant who will bring you chilled towels, maybe offer sunscreen, and this is key, provide secure storage for your phone, your book, whatever personal items you have.
Oh, that's brilliant. That little detail, not having to worry about your stuff while you swim, that is luxury.
It really is. Takes away a little point of friction, lets you properly relax.
Right.
And the pool club is designed to transition from day to night. During the day, they're planning this poolest day ever, Caribbean party. Think DJs, pop-up performances. Then in the evening, it transforms for their signature Shine the Night party.
Sounds lively. What about people wanting something a bit quieter, maybe for adults?
They've got something new for that, too. It's called the Attic at the Club. It's described as an all-day, all-night, adults-only games room.
Oh, like an arcade?
Sort of, but more than that. Retro
Yeah.
arcade games, yes, but also foosball, pool tables, darts. A dedicated hangout space for adults who want casual fun that isn't the casino or, the library.
Nice. A good addition. Okay, finally, let's touch on the cabins, accommodations. Any significant changes there reflecting market demands?
Yeah, definitely. If you look at who's cruising more, two groups stand out. Solo travelers and people willing to pay for suites and exclusivity. So Xcel is responding to both. The ship has 1,646 cabins overall. Still keeps that very high percentage, 81% of balconies, mostly the infinite verandas, but crucially, they have doubled the number of edge single staterooms with infinite verandas.
Doubled. Wow. That's a serious commitment to the solo market. It's one thing to have a few single cabins, but doubling them takes up real estate.
It really does.
Yeah.
It shows they see huge potential and demand there, a group that's often been kind of overlooked or forced to pay single supplements.
Good for them. And what about the high end? The retreat?
The retreat, yeah, that's their ship-within-a-ship concept for suite guests. Exclusive lounge, restaurant, pool deck. That continues to expand its footprint, maximizing that premium revenue stream. The big news here is the introduction of Aqua Class Sky Suites.
Aqua Class, Sky Suites, how does that work? Aqua Class usually means spa access. Sky Suites mean retreat access.
Exactly, it's a hybrid. These new suites give guests access to both. You get into the Sea Thermal Suite, which is the big spa area usually reserved for Aqua Class guests. And you get full access to all the retreat's exclusive spaces, the private pool, Lumiere restaurant, the lounge.
Huh. So that targets people who want both the wellness focus and the top-tier exclusivity. Clever cross-selling.
Very clever. And then, for the absolute top of the pyramid,
The biggest suites.
that would be the two iconic suites. They sit right above the bridge, so the views are just insane. And they are enormous. Each one is about 2,590 square feet inside, plus a massive 690 square foot private balcony. That's apartment size.
Yeah, that's definitely setting the bar for luxury on board.
For sure. So ultimately, when you look at Celebrity Xcel, it really feels like a classic example of a final ship in a successful class. They're taking all the lessons learned from the first four, fixing little things like maybe the pool shade, but also making bold moves like replacing Eden with the Bazaar, innovating with the pool valet, and really leaning into high-yield areas like the retreat and the growing solo traveler market. These aren't just tweaks. They feel like tests for whatever ship generation comes next. The Xcel isn't just an ending. It's kind of a bridge to the future.
That makes those first sailing even more interesting to experience, doesn't it? So just to recap the key dates for you. 2 shots in November 2025 to be among the first on Xcel out of Fort Lauderdale. You've got that quick 4-night preview sailing on November 9th. Heading to Cozumel gets you on board first. Or there's the official 5-night Maiden Voyage starting November 18th. That one includes all the inaugural ceremonies, the big launch feel, and visits both Bimini and Cozumel. The big question for anyone thinking about it is still, do you want the absolute earliest bragging rights, or do you want to be there for the official party?
A tough choice for the cruise nerds out there.
Definitely. Okay, and finally, just a thought for you to take away from this deep dive. Considering that major shift we talked about, moving away from the abstract performance art vibe of Eden towards the very tangible food and craft focused Bazaar, is the ultimate goal here for the Celebrity Xcel and maybe for luxury cruising in general to make the ship feel less like an escape from the world and more like a really seamless 5-star extension of the places you're actually visiting, something to ponder the next time you're unpacking your bags for a week at sea?